Okay, hey guys. Apologies for the delay, entirely my fault. Something came up with the house and I needed last-minute dog babysitting, so dog is in office for the duration of the stream. Sorry if you're not a dog person. Right.
Apologies.
Resuming Q&A. Welcome guys, we have Mod Sween.
Hello.
Mod Aiza.
Yo.
Myself, Mod Archie. Mod Wolf.
Hello.
Mod Kieran.
Yo.
And Mod Rye. Okay, there she is. And Mod Rye on the keyboard. So at OSRS with any questions, and we'll be getting those through the chat. We also have Mod West, of course, resuming his design stream, carrying out throughout the entire Q&A. So we'll be checking back with him. Keep any art questions you have for him coming up. Close up, we can do.
She's excitable.
She's just gonna wander around. I literally just raced home, grabbed her, and drove here, so she's a bit panicked. But anyways, on to the questions. Grant says, this wasn't a question actually, and this was the most upvoted comment of the week. So, move Nightmare Zone to Lunar Island.
What? Oh, because the dream stuff, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
It makes sense.
It does seem to make more sense than the current placement.
The problem is it would put a pretty hefty requirement to get to Nightmare Zone on.
Yes, it would.
So I guess I see the benefit of that side.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of low-level bosses in Nightmare Zone, and for players who've only done the low-level bosses, Nightmare Zone maybe ain't that great anyway.
I think this is...
Actually, a lot of the bosses that help you do Nightmare Zone are the low-level ones, to be honest.
I think Nightmare Zone warrants its own discussion, not just moving, but
yeah,
players want us to talk about the balancing of it, etc. So it deserves its own talk.
Yeah.
Can we straw pull this one? It's the first question, but it's a good one.
Hello.
If we can ask Mod Rye to throw up a straw poll, would you like Nightmare Zone moved to Lunar Island? Because that would make more sense thematically. Right?
I don't know if.
So how do you all feel about Nightmare Zone?
Well, I mean, you can wait until I get 99 everything.
Hi.
I think, okay, so I'm getting back into old school myself now personally, and I'm starting to get into Slayer, and I've got my Slayer helmet. I need to get it imbued, and I was a bit like, oh, I have to do Nightmare Zone to imbue it. I was kind of hoping I could, use Slayer points, or I don't even know. I'd rather even just spend money on it, to be honest, than have to go do Nightmare Zone.
Do the Nightmare Zone for it.
Yeah. General thoughts on it? It was handy to get back in to start tackling content.
Yeah.
Also, it makes the rest of the game feel rather dead. You don't see people training in other locations. I don't really understand why imbues are attached to it, etc.
Oh, yeah. I want to just move imbues entirely to different, more thematically fitting things anyway. I think, like, I was talking the other day about just having the Slayer one actually just being the Slayer store. Like, it's just so odd that you have to do Nightmare Zone to be able to imbue your Slayer helmet. Oh my god, your dog's so cute.
Yeah. It is though, yeah. I think.
I mean, in terms of imbuing a Slayer helmet, what RuneScape did was add two different items, Hex Crest and Focus Sight. And you had to attach those to a Slayer helm to get the range and mage benefits. So that was another alternative of doing it. I mean, we've got so much stuff on Slayer points, I would probably not want to put the Slayer helm imbued on there anyway. And
Fair.
to be honest, maybe the Slayer helm should just have it by default. I don't know.
There was that suggestion of distributing the ability to imbue among drop tables everywhere. That's quite cool. It could add value to certain monsters.
Superiors.
Yeah. So it warrants its own discussion, but the straw poll is hugely in favour of.
Yeah. So the results of the straw poll here: 82% say yes, you would like Nightmare Zone moved to Lunar Island. Not very much action in that straw poll. Only 500 of you voted. Come on, guys, you can do better than that.
What about the actual nerfing of Nightmare Zone? In terms of XP.
I think that is such a wider conversation. We would be here for a very long time.
It's a massive conversation. It's been in the game for so many years.
That's it. It will come down to people have got to use it. So why can't I use it?
Yeah.
But
that's always the case with any nerfing and any buffing. It's always the problem.
Sorry, it's you recently got your most recent 99. I think it was at Nightmare Zone as well, which is just a little bit of like, you recently got 99 hit points. Well done, congrats.
But we've always got to look at it about what's the best thing for the future of old school.
Yeah.
And if we feel like Nightmare Zone is not healthy for the game, then it should be something we consider, regardless of the fact it's sunk cost with so many people getting.
With the change made to the 6-hour log, it was possible for people to use Guffins there.
Yeah.
And there was a whole like, oh, it's not fair. I didn't get to use Guffins. If I'd have known, I would have went and used Guffins. So we had the same discussion again, but like you said, longevity. We just had 5 years. We want another 5 years. It's the kind of change we need to make.
Let's hold on to it for another time.
Yeah, I'm personally doing combat properly. I'm doing it with Slayer, so yeah. Just putting that out there.
Max combat stats are like 60
Not doing
Slayer.
my own, by the way.
Moving on.
It's high.
Next question. We have one in the chat already. Will Theater of Blood require skilling like raids? Nope. Theater of Blood is entirely combat and strategy and thinking and coordinating with your team. There's no skilling in it.
Unless you're an Iron Man, in which case you'd probably want to skill your way to some pots and gear, I guess.
Well, sure, but not in the raid.
Not Jury.
Indirect.
Yeah, the raid itself is a PVM-focused experience, right?
Yeah.
All right, next question. Broad bolts are tradable, but broad arrows are not. These arrows were made tradable at one point in the early old school days, but they were then made untradable because they were a bit too beneficial back then. Since then, Mithril, Addy, and Rune Dragon arrows were very hard to come by, thus making everybody seek for broads for saving them price and convenience. Now that this is no longer a problem and we have the Grand Exchange, can you guys make broad arrows tradable again? That's a mouthful.
Arrows are cheap and plentiful, so why not, I guess?
A broad arrow's still really good XP.
Don't know, mate.
Oh, did we?
What, fletching?
Yeah.
No.
No, okay.
We added them to old school, I believe, and made them pretty much no fletch XP.
Okay. Then yeah, I don't see any issue why not.
But is there any reason to?
I can't imagine I would ever use broad
That's
arrows.
the thing is,
but bolts,
yeah.
maybe. But yeah, I mean,
They can be used for Slayer, but
yeah.
I don't see broad arrows ever being better for Slayer than...
To clarify, by the way, the reason that I asked about the experience is because
I lost you.
in RuneScape, it's essentially a bug that it gives so much experience but got left like that forever, and the concept of them making them tradable. But yeah, I got confused.
Broad arrows are the Iron Man meta. That would make sense then.
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, why is he asking to make them tradable? Whatever. Something we can look into regardless. Kent says, with most bosses having immunity to venom, including those in raids, it is clear venom should be a non-factor when balancing the Serpentine helmet, because realistically the only places it's being used are at bosses, as it's too expensive to use in actual combat. Viewing the Serpentine helmet as a helmet without its venoming capability, it becomes worse than the Nayat's Knot with -5 and no prayer bonus. Essentially looking at reevaluating the Serp helmet and rebalancing it to make it better again. So simply because it's more expensive and it's a higher tier, does that mean that it has to be the best in slot in all instances?
Over the past week, I did see a call for it to either bring back the venom ability, like AOE, or
The strength.
Or the strength bonus.
Yeah. I mean, it's in its current form, it's really useful at God Wars Dungeons, right? Because you can basically use a blowpipe to tag minions to get venom on them like you used to, but obviously not as efficiently, but it's still very effective there. So it has uses, but I mean, I'm not against making it more
I'd
useful.
prefer to give it the strength bonus than give it
concur.
auto venom anything. So.
Right, next one. You're distracting.
My ear is wet as hell.
Same.
Spine says, RuneScape 3 recently had Grand Exchange buy limits added to the game on Monday. Can we have this too?
It's something we all would be keen to have, I believe, but it's going to take an engine job to get that done. So at some point we'd like to do it, but maybe not for the foreseeable.
Okay. Parrot says, I've suggested this once already. Pyramid Plunder. Can we get more than just ow! Exclamation point, as that's what's spammed in the chat box. He actually wants very rare chances, like 1 in 32,000, to get an ultra rare core blimey mate, or I hate snakes, or ow, that hurts, etc. Does it
I wouldn't
really
mind seeing
matter?
some like Indiana Jones quotes thrown in, or something that's quite old school fitting. Like
It'd be quick to do.
Yeah.
If they wanted it. Sure.
What would you do if you get the 1 in 32,000 saying? Are you like screenshotting that?
I guess they put it on Reddit.
All right.
God, but I mean, like, there's snake.
After you've done your emote for the clue scroll and killed the double agent, can we just have you respawn automatically again instead of having to put on the emote items and doing the emote again?
That code isn't too pleasant. It might not be easy to do that.
And if you think about it, it's not him spawning again, it's him spawning for the first time.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because the double
You're
agent
right.
spawned the first time.
But then why didn't he spawn the first time?
Because Don't know, mate.
Magic.
It's double agent was there.
It's just a
Don't
matter
get on.
It's just a matter of running in a moat. It takes you 2 seconds.
Okay. Another one in the chat. Half says, can you let the tool leprechaun exchange banknotes for items? It's really annoying to have to bank between every compost bin filling.
Maybe. I'm just trying to think where it can be abused. Like, there'll be something. I don't know what, but there'll be something where it's like, if you want to know this section is right near this thing, and it's like the new herb law trading method or something stupid like that. I almost guarantee one of them will do that. I don't think it's a good idea though.
I was going to say, if we look into it and there's no place to abuse it, I'm not adverse to it. Just make sure they've got their checks in place.
We recently let them store items that were noted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But only stuff that the tool leprechaun can hold.
Yeah, that you can
but
hold.
the tool leprechaun can also note any herb and also a lot of secondary supplies because they're farmed. So I'm just trying to think why they asked for it, because there's always a reason. They always ask for a reason, like a hidden reason. They don't tell you why. And then it goes, I don't believe you didn't think about this. So I'm thinking about it. There you go. If you want it, I guess.
Yeah.
But we'd have to look into it.
Okay. Right. Let's grab this next one then. Para says, can we get the option to trade in lower-tiered fossil island fossils for higher-tiered ones? For example, trade in 15 to 20 small fossils for 1 large fossil.
It would just be like, where would you do it? Some bloke's got loads of like big fossils. He wants smaller ones.
Well, he didn't say you could trade them back. It's just small into large.
Yeah, it's like, where are you getting the large ones from? As Sween says, it's just some dude that's just got a massive stockpile of them.
You can't decant small fossils into one big one.
I guess the question...
You trade.
The question is,
it would be a trade.
It would be a
You take a large fossil, you break it up and get lots of small ones pretty easily.
The real question, though, is like, why do they need to be able to change smaller into large? Is it because they're having too many small fossils that they have nowhere to store them? And maybe we should look at giving a way to store more of the smaller fossils. So that
I guess it's because there's probably a large one they're missing and...
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they're more common and they want to be able to complete the set, potentially.
There is a fossil trader on Fossil Island, though.
Does it automatically make sure you don't get duplicates before you get a set?
Yes. So you'll always get limbs, then skull, then you'll finish 5 before you can start getting another different.
But obviously you don't get the same size necessarily.
No.
Whoa.
Your dog trots. It's like a horse. It's kind of majestic.
Apparently those fossils stack in the bank. I know that, but like most people don't want them in the bank because they put them in the storage crate, which have limited storage space, right? And the only reason I mention that is because I remember people saying in the past that they wanted the storage crate to increase. So
could we increase the storage capacity?
I think we can. It was brought up in Qual before, just like one of those things that's on the suggestion list. So rather than be like, oh, Mother Easy, you can put them in the bank and they stack. I know that. I get it.
Why is this a thing now in the Q&As? We're impersonating the player. Like, this is what you sound like.
I don't do it for everything. It's nothing personal.
Can you tell us what your girlfriend said last night when she was cooking your dinner? Can you give an example of that?
No, because I made my own dinner last night.
Oh, all right, okay. I just wanted to do the same voice, because I do that voice for everyone. I don't know, man.
Right, next question. Nuka says, why did you change right-click option on Karamja Gloves 4 to show both teleport options, but not the options for Artie Cloak 2 and Mauritanian Legs 3?
We're planning on doing that, I think.
Yeah, they're in the poll. I added them this morning, so the poll's been updated.
Mauritania added?
Yeah.
Okay, because it wasn't in the initial blog, was it?
No, it wasn't yesterday, and then it got brought up, and I was like, yeah, actually, we can do that. So I asked if it was able to be put on, and we got a yes.
Well, in the poll meeting, we predicted that would happen. We'd say, okay, yeah, cool, we'll make this happen. Yeah. But then someone inevitably will say, well, what about this one? This one.
The best way to investigate, we were like, there's going to be more than the cloak. So if we just say we're going to do the cloak, people will then tell us the other ones that we've missed out, and you did, so thanks for that.
Yeah. Although I've had a few people actually today in the design stream talk about, I've added Mauritania Legs 4, but not 2 and 3 to that question. But it might have just been my mistake thinking that 2 and 3 only gave you one teleport option, which you can already right-click teleport to. I could be wrong, and if that is the case, then I'll change it.
We'll investigate it.
Yeah.
Right.
The poll is live, by the way. Just
exciting.
As a push, because we've only got a couple of thousand so far.
There we go then. Poll's live in game. Go vote.
Looking forward to some Qual.
Let's get through a few more questions, then we'll head back over to Mod West for a progress update. Here we are. Age says, can you allow the watering of seeds and plants during the Tithe Farm minigame to be a left-click action? You did a similar quality of life update to the Blast Mine, allowing us to add dynamite in the wall without needing to use it from the inventory.
I think that could probably be done, yeah. It would make it a little bit easier to play with, but I think that's fine. It's a very interactive minigame anyway.
Mate,
So I wouldn't feel too concerned about making that a little bit easier.
If you try and play for like an extended period of time, it hurts.
Have you tried it?
Yeah, I did it. I went for, I don't know why I did it. I was like, I saw the seed box, like that looks cool, so I went to get one. And I enjoyed it actually. It's good XP. I'll revisit it when I want to train farming.
It's like a cool little training review.
There was a follow-up to that. Also, can a second floor / instanced variant of Blast Mine be discussed? Realistically, only one person can be in each world, and it's currently very crowded.
We'll investigate it, I think. Like, I'd like to address that if that's a big problem, but yeah. I'm not sure that an instance mine will be the best way to go, but we'll figure something out, I think, to try and solve it.
I think we added additional bank spots, but it's typical that there's one particular
There's
spot
going to be
most
one that's the
efficient,
best,
so-
and that'll be how it is, you know?
Yeah.
All right. Talented says, almost every big update recently has been focused for endgame PVM, and now there's more focus on revenants again. What are your plans for players who enjoy skilling and minigames? Here are several things. So Farming Guild, a new skill, refreshing dead skilling methods, unique Castle Wars rewards. This would help if you explained what the unique rewards were. That's not trying to be aggressive, by the way.
Whoa, hold, calm down.
Well, no, like
That's my user special.
I'm not trying to come off as like angry. I'm just saying like it does help if instead of just saying this listing.
So there are a lot of points raised there. I don't know where to begin. Like, it's not all content has been endgame PVM. Rev certainly isn't endgame PVM. Raids
Dragon
2...
Slayer 2 is a quest. There was PVM in it, of course.
Yeah.
But I
But
agree.
Warcraft isn't endgame either.
Fossil Island was the previous big update before that, and that was heavily focused on
Grotesque,
mid-level skilling, really.
Yeah.
Grotesque Guardians was aimed at kind of like high-ish, but not end-level Slayer, etc. The Farming Guild, we did reveal at RuneFest. Or the Farming... I don't know if it's Farming Guild. The Farming update.
Farming,
Yeah, farming expansion, which included the Farming Guild. We don't know when that'll fit in the schedule yet, but it's like it's on the cards and planned at
We
some
just
point.
had a big core month which focused on kind of making stuff not easier, but more bearable for skilling.
I think
As for a new skill, we've mentioned it on the Q&A a few times, and like the general consensus seemed to be from you guys that it's like you want to see a skill at some point in the future, but we're not ready for it yet. And
I think it's a stretch saying something like Revs is high-end PVM.
Yeah, so RuneScape recently kind of concluded their big annual survey. We're probably looking at getting one out around the summer point, which would then give us a few months before RuneFest, and then a few months to sit on data and determine what we want to do with it.
generally the structure we sort of follow is that annual survey in the summer, like priority survey, and what do you guys want to see? Then we'll sit down, we'll normally have like a day out as a team, and I say a day out, it's not like it's like we go to a...
We got a theme park.
Towers, yeah.
We go for an off-site meeting, basically. We rent like an actual conference centre somewhere where we sit down and all day spend out planning like the next sort of year of content. Then we go into RuneFest and announce the big things.
And yeah, there are no...
Pretty much the process we follow.
There are no plans to follow Raids 2 with more top-end PVM stuff. It's not like we're working on Raids 3 anytime soon.
Next year, right. 3 big updates on Raids 3, 4, and 5.
And on the rewards for, so I mentioned Castle Wars specifically, but rewards is a tricky one. What do we offer?
Yeah, I think, I mean, one of the common things that gets brought up time and time again is what happened to the minigame reward shop that passed a poll. It's kind of like, well, there were no specific minigame related rewards that could come from there, and there was nothing else that we could kind of like put in as filler. So it's on hold, and you know it's still there, and we're still more than happy to look at it. And as soon as there are ideas that we can use, we'll do it.
People want to see a rehash of Stealing Curation or of Fist of Gothics or of Soul Wars, and they say, you know what, the rewards are too overpowered. We don't need the rewards, we just want the minigame. Like,
yeah.
I don't believe you.
Yeah,
I don't think it will have the player base beyond a week after launch without rewards.
Yeah.
Because they'd rather spend time getting stuff, getting XP or getting...
This is the biggest problem. It's like, mini games are expensive to make. You're talking big lead times on development for them. And unless, like, it's hard for us to justify that time when we could be spending that time on something that a lot more people are going to want to play. Difficult, because I mean, I understand why people want those mini games. They have nostalgia attached to them. People enjoy playing them, but a lot of people won't play them just for fun. I'm sure we could still come up with a good set of rewards for them.
Do you know what else is fun? As an appropriate example is Tournament Worlds. The first time we did Tournament Worlds, where we let players jump in, and I think we let them run with like some of the best gear in the game and max their skills and all that. It's great, and it's very populated. Until you leave it in for a week, and then comes nearly the second week, and there's pretty much nobody left. And if we left that in, imagine as a mini game, not to say it's necessarily comparative to that of Stealing Creation, but eventually the numbers do diminish. People want to get back to making their money or skilling or what have you. But it would be nice to be able to jump into that intermittently and get back into like a game of Castle Wars every now and then as a nice break. It's just, it's not like everybody in the game's timetables are going to synchronize to say, now is our break time, guys. Now we stop playing efficiently.
Mandatory 5 minutes Castle Wars break.
Yeah. So
Castle Wars break ended.
Chances
Zoom
are
gameplay.
when you go to take your break, everybody else is back grinding or whatever. And yeah, there needs to be some, I think, coordination. But anyways, a bit of a tangent there. We'll go on.
Kind of on that, actually. So we... Aisa and I have been working with the old school PMods, and what I kind of want to do with PMods is stop it being more of a moderation tool, because they were introduced in 2004 and the need for them in the moderation is outdated. What we can have them is running events and stuff and kind of being key pillars of the community, organising these events and maybe bringing life to mini games. And then naturally maybe discussion about what rules will follow. That was just a bit off topic.
I wonder how something would do if... Actually, no, this is entirely not happening. But just saying, I wonder, if we turned off Castle Wars and only put it on for a certain time during the day. And it would change depending on time zones, of course. And I know that everybody who plays Castle Wars passionately every single day is going, no, I wouldn't want that, because they probably want to play whenever it's convenient for them. But I wonder if it would almost say to everybody, like, okay, this is the time to do it. Other people will be guaranteed to be there for the time. And you would at least have active games. Again, I gave a strong disclaimer, a very strong disclaimer. I'm just saying I wonder. Don't say you're not curious, right? You are all curious.
I think that what you're thinking will probably happen. I do think that it would get more activity, but then, yeah, it would then
it's like
people who enjoy doing it.
The reversal.
Like spotlight, but without the actual rewards or anything to accompany it.
It's like a reverse double points weekend or double points hour. Right?
We just disable the entirety of the game except Castle Wars. Everywhere you move.
How about, how about we do this with all of RuneScape? So we shut down RuneScape for 90% of the time, and then during the other 10% of the time, we'll get like a load of players online.
It's a mechanic that's used in another game that I used to play like non-stop, and they had something that was only open during the weekends, and I enjoyed that because I was guaranteed to find good matches, and I played it during the weekends, and that was it. And I wouldn't have played it during a Wednesday or something.
It's kind of been to the detriment of other mini games in RuneScape, though.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, it's like they're not really helping themselves right now. They're not going anywhere right now. But anyways, I give a strong disclaimer. I'm so sorry for anybody that I just terribly offended. Moving on.
You sound like me now.
Just something Mod Sweden mentioned. You mentioned PMods. The last time I was on the Q&A, we talked about
over chat.
PMod chat overriding the filter. So like when you got public and off, PMod chat would still appear, and many people found that annoying, even though it could potentially be a tool that PMods found useful. Since then, we sat down with the player support team. We opened a conversation with the PMods on the forums, and we've come to the conclusion that we're going to change that.
I was testing that today.
Oh, have you? Nice.
Yeah. So probably next week.
Next week, then, when PMods talk, they will no longer override your filter settings.
All right, let's grab some from the chat then. Donation says, can the examine option on coins be made consistent? When you have an interface open, it shows the number separated by commas, which is easier to read without the separation.
That is because on interfaces, we can override the examine. But Otherwise, we can't. So in your inventory, we can't override the examine. It's got to show the message that's hard-coded on the config for the coins. On an interface, we can dynamically say how many coins are in this pile and give a more interesting message. So yes, we can make it consistent, but making it consistent would mean on the interface it's just less useful, which is, I say that's a downgrade really. So
I see the picture of it, comparing it on Reddit every once a week. It's never bothered me specifically.
No, I mean ideally, at one point in time we'll be able to say in the inventory it does this as well. Mm-hmm. It's just essentially, to give you a bit more background, is our interfaces are saved as a file format called .if3. That is the current version, but there's still a lot of .if interfaces. Don't ask about if2, no one knows anything about it. But we went from .if to .if3 for some reason, like Windows. But the .if format is a slightly different format, which we have less control over, and that requires to update them manually over to the new format of .if3. Now, we could do that for the inventory. The problem is, the inventory is linked to a load of those .if interfaces, which would require us to go and update probably like half the remaining .if interfaces in the game, and then do the inventory, and that would allow us to then change the examine message to say what you want it to say. So unfortunately, the job that you'd expect to take 10 minutes would take several weeks. I mean, it would have a whole load of other benefits alongside it, but yeah.
Right. So lots of question marks and lots of
question marks is exactly what I expected.
The TLDR is,
it
would take a long time.
For the few people that might, you see, you're not an intellectual like myself, but for the few people who are, my fellow intellectuals, maybe there's a bit of insight for you.
There's one thing I saw in the chat, I think it's a really cool idea, not to jump in and kind of steal the questions from the chat, but Scotty P said, we can have a quest line about the RuneScape bank, like how it came to be. I don't know. Have you ever read the Discworld series? Gary Pratchett.
A quest line for the bankers? Or
yeah, like how the bank came to be in place.
What about the general store?
Yeah, but that store's kind of,
doesn't have the same cell.
So the bank is universal, right? So your bank is the same as everywhere else.
How do they do that?
Yeah, quite a cool story. So the Discworld series, you have like the city of Ankh-Morpork, and then there's this whole like novel series about how the post office and then the bank was set into place, like kind of the boring details around this fantasy world. It's quite good. Right. No one seems to be sold, so yeah, moving on.
Moving on in the chat.
I'm going home.
You're alone here as a lore hound, I think, unfortunately.
I like lore. I'd rather
I like it as well.
I'm stories before.
Not as in the know. I think.
It's not a new one.
So for those tuning in, probably late, past the intro here, you're probably wondering what's going on. Again, sorry, my dog's here for the day. Couldn't find a babysitter. Had a last second thing, came up, had to bring the dog into work. So the dog's here. That's it. She's an Italian Greyhound. She's not underfed. That's the way they are.
Sorry.
Additionally, I'm seeing
she's really
she's very quick and she's very affectionate.
She's really odd with her with her kisses. Like she doesn't kiss. She kind of puts her nose to you as close as possible, like for ages, and then goes, and then you're like, oh, okay.
I had an old neighbor that was throwing bread over the fence. And I was just like, she's not underfed. She's very healthy. We give her very good food. Anyways,
you had a neighbor throwing bread over your fence.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to start treating your dog right, mate.
Anyways,
so just to jump in, we are seeing reports of kind of connectivity issues for US players, both East Coast and West Coast. If you go to the support center, there is if you type in like old school connectivity, you'll find a link to a survey, or it's in a tweet I put out, or it's on a Reddit thread I put up as well. So if you're experiencing issues, please give us the information we need to kind of pursue it. But we're not ignoring it.
Right. That being said, we're going to look for a wave from Mod West, giving us, he is in fact ready for the sneak peek of the week. Take it away, Mod West.
Hello again. So, I've been working on this church. I've been trying to get it out, get it finished as quick as I can. As I'm just going to use this cool mode that no one else has seen before to try and get the church shape in the view. So as you can see, we've got this sort of overview mode in our map editor. Unfortunately, it's doesn't have the greatest. It sort of cuts off here, but ignore that. But what I can do is just show you how it's coming along. So we've got the bottom floor here. As you can see, I had to Yeah. Basically, if I'm moving around here, it's going to move my position as if I was still looking at the 2D map. So I'm going to try and not do that. I'll try to just use the arrow keys. So I've made it. Oh, I literally did it again. Okay. There we go. We can rotate. So I made it slightly smaller because it was bigger than I was expecting. So we've got some pews in here. Yeah. Well, yeah. We're not talking about the full environment. We're just talking about the church at the moment, guys. If there's probably a lot of people who haven't seen what I was doing, so I'll show you what I'm doing. So here is a map that I created in Photoshop of a town. So it's called Sleep. This will be in Eastern Mauritania. I'm just going to turn off the grid. So I designed this in Photoshop. It's completely fake. Nothing is real. It's all a lie. And now what I'm doing is creating it inside the map editor. So if I get the world map open here, so as you can see, we've got Raids 2, Theatre of Blood, right here, and a brand new town. And this will be Sleep. You can access it as soon as you've got into Mauritania. You can get there. It's probably a fair trek from Canifis, where you can get around here. You can go through the swamp, get down this path, and here you are. So earlier I was showing off making a house. Essentially, I just wanted to show everyone how we build our maps for old school. So here is a house I built earlier in the Blue Peter style. So yeah, I'll show it from the top again. I can't zoom in any more than this, so just gonna have to look at the house. As you can see, got the house there. The church is in the background, being cut off because it's on a different map square. And yeah, we've just got a little house here. For the house, I used the Canifis wall kit. We'll just use this tiny little window up here. So yeah, it's early days still. But as you can see, I just created a first floor, a ground floor obviously, and I got a roof, and then look at that, nice little chimney as well. And yeah, just showing how we make it. Dead content? No, it's not dead content. Would you call Port Stream dead content? No, Port Stream's actually pretty useful. You get the point. It's got lore reasons. Everyone likes a bit of lore. Okay, let's go back to the church. So I made the church, as you can see, the church was quite large before. I think I pulled it in by two tiles, so it's slightly more compact. We've got this nice little overhang area. We're gonna have like an altar here. I will make some windows, and I will probably won't be using this wall kit because this wall kit is a little bit tedious to use. I'll probably create like a unique one purely for the church. That'd be quite nice. With this nice little star-shaped first floor, and then like a little tower, and then that'll be the roof right there. So yeah, lots of clicking. So yeah, this is what I've been working on. I can update you in the future. I don't know if I think I probably finished the rest of this town off stream. Well, I'm certainly not going to be finishing it today. And yeah, I'll keep you updated on Twitter. I'll be posting pictures and stuff like that as I usually do. And yeah, it's just Theatre of Blood. Let's go. And I'll send you back over to the couch.
Wait, wrong transition. There we go. Okay.
All right, thank you, Mod West. We were talking earlier about making a building in an environment in around the Mauritania area, and so some people were like, "Oh, it looks so dead. It doesn't look very lively." We're talking like this is a place made for vampires and dead people and dead things. It's perfectly appropriate for what it should look for, I think. So well done, and we'll catch up with you by the end of the stream. Moving on, let's grab them from the chat. Gail says, "Any news on the Lunar Exiles quest?"
Yeah, sorry, I was distracted by Mika. Yeah, it's making good progress on it. So, if you're not aware, I've written the story like last year sometime, and I developed a chunk of the quest, and then I got to a point where I was like, well, I can't make this puzzle, I don't know how to do interfaces, and I can't really make a good boss fight. It's not something I've done before or know how to do. I'm not a dev. So Ed took it over in his spare time for me, very kindly, so thank you very much, Ed. And he's progressed with it pretty well. He has done the puzzle that I couldn't do. He did the intermediate, what's the term, like the bit in the middle that I couldn't do. And he's about to start work on the boss fight. There's no graphics done for it or anything. It's still a TAP project, so it's not scheduled in for a certain time or date, but it's pretty close to being done. So exciting stuff.
All right. One more in the chat. I says, can you make KBD heads, KQ heads, Purple Claw, Abyssal head, and Vork head tradable to Slayer Masters for Slayer points? Ooh, that was almost an edgy question, but to Slayer Master for Slayer points, so not tradable amongst players. Would make so much sense, and they're rare drops that only have 2 uses. So you want uses for your duplicates?
Vorkath, like, drops those heads a lot compared to the other bosses. Like a lot.
I wouldn't look to have included. In general, I don't know.
Does it make sense?
The Volcast head can't be used to make a Slayer helm.
It makes sense, but it's going to change so many things with like the Slayer meta, because it will be like you'll have so much more access to points. And I know that they're not the most rare of things. I mean, most common of things, but that would be quite a big change to Slayer.
People who have stocked up a ton of... Somebody just said he has 7 Vorkath heads.
Yeah, but they're really
He's at the jackpot for Slayer points.
They're like 1 in 50. Yeah, exactly.
I've been grinding Volcast the last few days. 6 heads, 160 kill count.
Right.
What about if you could take like...
I'm not training Slayer.
So you don't need to worry about Slayer points then, from then on.
Yeah. What if we say yes, but it's just 1 Slayer point?
I was thinking more you could take it to the... Maybe just make them like long and curved bones where you can take it, but instead take it to the taxidermist and it'll give you a bit of XP for them maybe, instead. Like long and curved bones.
Maybe another use for them. If not Slayer points, then something else would be quite cool, rather than just being an item that just sits there forever and you just collect them.
Now it's a competition of who has the most.
How can you possibly get more than one? There's only one Calvite Queen. Once you kill it, it's dead. Doesn't.
Right.
Works.
Well, they like that idea. Okay, good. Hold on to that one. What are we going to here?
Runecraft and XP. Why not?
Runecraft and XP, yeah, sure.
Baratho says, can we give set effects to spine, skeletal, and rockshell armors? Rockshell, where are you going? Rockshell would be increased damage for thrown weapons. Oh no, sorry, that was spine. Rockshell is increased accuracy with crush attacks. Skeletal is chance to save runes with water spells, not ice. And spine would be increased damage with thrown weapons, not the blowpipe.
I mean,
the thing is,
they look cool, but they're so low level. They don't need to be made great.
There's still going to be dead content.
They are, yeah.
I think that looking cool, the spined armor looks tragic, mate. Let's be honest.
No, it was the coolest looking set. When I was a kid,
Rockshell looks cool. Rockshell looks cool.
I had membership, but it was on and off. So I had membership and I had my full spined, and I thought it looked so cool.
I think skeletal.
And then I went into being a free to play, but I wouldn't put on my free to play gear because I didn't want to lose it. So I'd walk around in free to play with full spined, and that was really cool. Anyways,
I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, skeletals.
Pens being.
I think it's cool. It's a unique look that isn't like massive pauldrons.
I think they're cool armors, and I like how you make them and stuff.
Yeah.
I have an idea for after Fremennik Exiles that there's a Grandmaster afterwards, and I want to have Dagonoth Queens be one of the main boss fights that occurs, and I want them to drop an attachment for that armor to upgrade it. Future things.
I like the idea of Dagonoth Queens regardless.
So
we've got so many people at the Grand Exchange right now wondering if they should buy 1 million sets of spine or not.
Do I buy it or not? What's he doing? He's teasing.
Do it. There you go.
They already bought it the second the question was asked and then instantly sold it again afterwards.
Yeah.
We could just say anything. Dragon Battle Axe.
Wait, what item have I got in my bank?
I've got like 5,000 sets of skeletal right now.
Dig says, any chance of having Watson's overcoat being introduced into the game as the 100 Master Clue reward, or just as a reward in general?
Yeah, Mod Sween. Where's this coming?
Come on, Alex.
So we had to basically postpone that for a while because we didn't have the design time we thought we'd have at the end of last year. And it looks like we've got a gap in design time around the mid of this year. So we'll be bringing the 100 Master Clue back to life. All the suggestions are still saved. They're still there. I'll probably reopen it again as well.
Sorry to interrupt. Do you have a favourite?
The wheelbarrow is my favourite, but equally it's probably not doable. So
I think the Watson's coat thing is a pretty good idea.
All right, just because he asked it, you don't need to pretend like it's the best. No, it is a good idea. It's a solid idea. It also saves graphics time, so thanks for that.
You're the dog.
If it's only for men, we have to make a female model version, but that's easy.
All right. Linus says, can we have a wilderness herb patch in high-level wildy with 2x the yield after medium diary and 3x the yield after elite diary? If it's a multi?
Okay, question, right? You go there, what do you risk? You take a seed and a ray.
You know PvPers would still kill them.
I know they would, but this is the point. It's basically point. What I'm saying is it's basically pointless. Like, sure, you can add a patch that offers good rewards, but there's no point because Yeah, that's it.
They get a
It's
full
a spade.
set. They get a spade and a rake and a dibber. That's more than what they usually
The
get.
only way it's possible is if we added an extremely rare, like, tradable thing that came from it, and you would obviously be risking it, similar to like the revenants.
You call like a special herb.
It would add value.
A massive snapdragon that you can't teleport with.
Yeah.
It is like you'd get the Ranor weeds from the...
You know what you would get? You would get clans in the hundreds or whatever there is, holding down a world with a farming patch and then selling the service to people who would pay for the farming experience.
What if it's a hardy patch and it needs a special spade?
A golden spade.
This spade costs 500k at a shop, and it can be sold back to the shop for 500k. It is always lost on death, and so farmers have to take this special 500k spade and risk it when they're using this patch, but they get some mega ass yield because they're getting like 3 times Ranor weeds. Think of the profits. Their farmers are going to want to go there. The PKs are going to get their spade loot. This is perfect.
You know, this is actually not a terrible idea, which is what makes me really angry about this.
I was
like
just
a
thinking,
Revenant unique.
I can't believe this has become reality.
It actually sounds like a pretty good idea. You've sold me.
Let's tradable it.
Golden spade. we've just got we have this text thing so that we can communicate with people who are in production, and it's where they gather the questions that you guys get. And Mod Rai just said, "What have you done?" He seems a little upset.
I'll be completely honest. There's no way this is passing, but it's a funny thing to talk about.
Third age spade.
Now you said that, he will vote yes.
I know that, but it doesn't matter if it passes a straw poll, because it won't pass a real poll.
A real poll.
Oh, you don't know if I was just taking the piss or not.
Okay. In the meantime, let's ask a real question. Here we go. Other than raids and mobile, are there any smaller updates the team are working on that you can share?
The quest that's being pulled. Ed's doing the Shajin quest.
You talked about the Exiles quest as well. There's some other stuff that I don't know whether I'm allowed to say, so I'm not going
to. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I can't remember.
So, yeah,
mine's gone blank.
there are other stuff, but whether or not we can share them, I don't know.
Yeah.
We did say we'd like to spend some time on Chambers and Xeric touching up.
Yep.
Which I think we still are going to do.
Okay.
Oh, Easter.
And hey, you know...
Easter, Easter's coming.
Oh, there you go. That's the answer we were looking for.
And you do know, obviously, you're very well aware of all the things we've announced at RuneFest this year and last year, so those things are potentially on the cards. There is a desire to get onto Modash's Troll Quest at some point, but, you know, all these things are there.
Hand asks, do you see a future for King of the Skill? Do you have any plans?
Well, that is convenient timing, isn't it? Yeah, we are considering actually running another version of King of the Skill potentially this month. We haven't gone much further into the plans yet, but we discussed wanting to do one in April. But we wanted to relook at it, change it around a little bit, fix it up from what we learned from the first one. And that potentially includes making it only run for a week rather than across a month. That will ensure that no updates come out that affect the training methods that you can use in King of the Skill. We might want to look at changing it from 24 hours if it's only a week, so maybe it's more like 12 hours, and that's more feasible to play in a week for a lot more players. Potentially change the XP rates and things like that. But this is all to be discussed as a team yet. We don't really know.
Even stuff like ensuring rules and then the integrity of it, so you can't log out, get your farming XP, log in to save time. Yeah. We'd probably want to tap that.
Certain areas,
Alts accounts, certain,
PvP, wilderness in general.
It's also quite last minute.
Yeah. And a lot of that will require changing price structure and things like that. So there's a lot to sort out before we can go forward with it. But we are interested in it. I think it was a really interesting competition to watch. Not that a whole load of players went and played it, but I thought it was fascinating to watch like Boaty and Wooks all streaming it, trying to work out their strategies for how they would best get the most out of 24 hours.
It should cost them time. Zulu just mentioned in the chat, it should cost them time for logging out.
Yeah, that's another thing. I added like a 1 or 2 minute penalty every time you log out and in.
I like the concept they were like, you can't log out. You need to stay logged in for 12 hours.
Okay. We've straw polled, do you want an expensive spade along with a special high yield herb patch in the wilderness? It doesn't clarify, but the spade is to be always lost on death and costs, let's say, 500k. And that's at 78% yes in the meme straw poll. Well done, Twitch memers. But maybe you guys feel like throwing it in a real poll, yeah.
Where we didn't specify the details, there'd be an uproar. Like, oh yeah, do you want a spade? By the way, you lose it on after it's gone through and said yes. By the way, you lose it on death and it costs this much money.
I'd happily pull it.
I mean,
triple herb yield farm batch found in level 50 plus wilderness. Simple, you know.
All right. Feel free to grab any in the chat while I grab this next question. Bloke says, can we toggle off the confirmation message for Torfin to take our 100k after clicking the lock? It's pretty obvious what we're doing talking to him with exactly 100k in our inventory.
Don't ask this again, perhaps could be quite useful, if possible.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Just take my money next time.
Yeah.
Don't ask this again.
Exactly,
yeah.
We have
something like that.
Kind of
it's also a generic interface.
Yeah, so when you click on the padlock, it says, you know, do you want to pay the 100k?
Yeah.
Yes, so just maybe a right click on that, or even just say, yeah, don't ask me again.
It's used that same interface is used in all the other gravestone style places, so potentially it could be a cross-universal thing as well.
Okay. Anything in the chat standing out you guys want to cover?
The second one we can answer quite easily on the sheet, which is when is the Iron Man Corp Cave coming out, and that's in tomorrow's game update.
Yep.
Cool.
On that topic, so if any of you are not aware, we're making a couple of changes. First to God.
Oh,
sorry.
Oh no, Mika, what are you eating?
First,
Mika's eating.
that ruined the moment. First to God Wars, we're making it so when the room is initially transitions from having people in it to going empty, the boss will actually delete itself and respawn, which means it'll wipe itself from any damage that's been done to it by other players. It shouldn't affect it for a legit player, because a legit player will go in and find the boss ready for them. And an Iron Man will also go in and find that they haven't got a half-dead boss that's going to ruin the fact they've just got 40 kill count and ruin their trip. For Corp, we explored a whole host of different solutions, and like this was the best one we could really come up with. There were two problems to solve. Firstly, that people could easily rag Iron Men. You know, a main account could go in, do 1 damage to the Corp, and all of a sudden the kill's ruined. They've got to go back out and restart it, sort of thing. And second, that Iron Men could use alt accounts to spec it, because on an alt account they can just buy a Dragon Warhammer, you know. But that's a pretty hard item to get on an Iron Man. So splitting it to a second Iron Man cave we thought was the best approach. And then the reason it's got a combat restriction on it, so it's a 90 plus combat plus Iron Man will get you into this second Corp cave. It's got that combat restriction on it so that people can't make an Iron Man account and just quickly go in there and still carry on trolling you. Mm-hmm. But that essentially covers it.
And for what it's worth, people, anybody who's curious, the whole ragging Iron Man thing is considered player harassment. We do take action against that, and we have been. This will save us lots of time and resource there as well. So,
but yeah,
I appreciate it.
If there are other places that have similar issues, please let us know, and I'd happily have a look and see what else we can do about them.
Cool. We have time for one last update from Mod West, it looks like. You ready? Yeah, I'm good. Take it away.
Hey, so I've just been working on the peripherals of the area. As you can see, I've got this. I'm probably going to use a different overlay for that one because it's not really matching with the walker. But I've just sort of started adding some surroundings to the church. You know, some paths, fences, a few. Let's get on the right floor. A few gravestones. And I think I don't know what colour it was last time, but I think I changed the floor because I felt like the grey tiles was a bit too bright for quite a swampy area. So again, that's not really changed much, I don't think. I've been mostly working on the outside. I was trying to get some decor down, some like grass and some trees to show you how the work starts to fall together, but I didn't have time. But I think you can go around the world and you can sort of see how it slowly builds up over time. I don't know if everyone's memeing me because of course it's called sleep and everyone's giving me sleepers, but yeah, anyway, this is how it's going. I'll do one more view of the above. Perhaps next time I'll try and choose buildings that are closer together so we can actually get like a sort of a town feeling next time. But yeah, this is how we build our maps in old school, and hopefully that's been enlightening. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. We will certainly be doing more for the Theatre of Blood. I think we're doing live streams every 2 weeks, but wait for people to talk about them close to the date. And yeah, that's everything I've got to show today. Thanks for tuning in. Got to send you back to the couch, obviously. Don't go away yet. And so yeah, cool.
Thank you, Mod West. I appreciate the town and all of its beauty. It's beautiful. Well done. All right. We have time for, looks like just a few more. Let's grab these out of the chat quickly. Impeccable says, can we see an unlimited teleport crystal to Lechia in a one-time fee? Did I say that right? Pretty sure that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Unlimited teleport crystal.
Sounds good. We have one for the Camulet.
Okay.
Makes sense.
For one-time fee? What's that fee to be?
I think it's 3 mil or 5 mil for the Camulet. It would make sense to it be similar.
Yeah.
Maybe you've done Morning's End 2, there's something extra you can do.
But I also want a gold sink as well.
I support of that.
We've also, I think, if I remember, we talked about
5 mil.
similar items, the Enchanted Lyre. We were talking about potentials of having like an unlimited version of that if you were to like store it with a shed load of fish of some sort.
I quite like the concept of like doing 1,000 manta ray, 1,000 shark, 1,000 just all in one lump sum as well, which is pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the Morning's End Part 2 as a requirement for it as well, because what Ledger is introduced in Roving Elves. So then that offers a bit more incentive to people who kind of sit on that quest before.
There is no reason to do Morning's End 2.
Yeah, unless you want quest cave and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a fun quest.
So maybe you take it in the Temple of Light or something in there, and it lets you do it. Or we could add a special drop or something to something. I don't know.
Oh, that's actually really good. Dark Beast drop would be nice as well.
Maybe that's what
Alongside.
you need. The Dark Beasts in the Morning's tunnels are the only ones that drop it.
I like that.
And then you can take it, and she can do a special enchant for money.
Yeah.
Because, you know, she's got profit to hit off her enchantment skills.
That's really good.
And then all of a sudden your elf crystal can teleport infinitely.
Yeah, I like that.
Everyone's now got PTSD of going back to the Temple of Light.
Now, just saying, that doesn't require Morning's End completion, but we can make it only drop if you've got Morning's End completion.
Cool.
Okay, last few in the chat then. Has there been any discussion about the utility ring slot? I've still got it open as a tab. It's an idea that we discussed that I was particularly in favor of. We all liked the idea, but again, there's such a massive backlog of these really cool ideas.
It is a big idea. It's a big change to something that people are rather familiar with, but I think it's cool.
Could we see blessed dragon hide shields from treasure trails?
I like that.
I like that. I think that's cool.
I like the shields in general, so.
Gold trimmed, regular trim as well.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
How about making Artisan a daily challenge thing on an NPC? I'm just going to say right now, I don't think dailies are
daily.
gonna,
I don't like daily, yeah.
just using the word daily is going to get no's. Oil says, when is the zoom cap being adjusted? It passed Cole Poll a few weeks ago.
Yeah, so I've touched on that briefly in the last poll, the last blog that we put out. There's 3 other outstanding updates, so if you want to have a read up on where they're at, it's listed. But the bottom line is that with the zoom cap, we opted for like a more polished version of it in the end. And I think we explained that when we were going to poll it, that it might take a bit longer. There's a few little features that we're waiting on to be finalised, and then it will be out. But at the moment, there's no ETA on that one yet. But I think from what I've seen and what's capable, it will be worth the wait. So apologies, but it's just we'd rather bring out something that's like the best it can be than not. So.
Okay. We actually went we were a little bit late today because of me, so I'll drag it on for a little bit more. Let's get through 2 questions then. Fix the buy limit on the DHCB, the items being manipulated, the Dragon Hunter crossbow.
That will be done for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a quick one. Suggestion, lounging emotes that let you relax with your pals. That's going to be a quick no.
I was speaking to West about
Do you like
actually.
that? Do you like that idea?
Just like an emote.
An emote that lets you kind of like relax and lay down?
Yeah.
Or sit down?
Doesn't give you any more energy. It's just
Yeah, it doesn't give you energy.
It's like
clarity.
rest without the actual
Just
benefit.
lets you, like when you're sitting next to a friend at the G, you're
Yeah,
talking
you can
or
chill with
something.
chill with the boys.
Yeah.
Really? I thought they would like not
I thought
be
they
okay
hate it
with
as
that.
well. Yeah, look, they love it. I don't know why.
Because it's very similar sounding to the rest emote, which they're always against. But if
Make
it
it a
doesn't give
scroll.
energy,
A scroll that drops some revs.
what if it costs you energy?
You could probably get it. You could make it a token from Treasure Trail that like unlocks it, so it's tradable as well.
I see it coming from Treasure Trails actually. That's quite a fitting way.
There is a lunar spell that does that, but nobody's going to be bothered to do the lunar spell.
I see like bits of mobile in chat as every week, but we do actually have something to share this week, which is on Monday we release the OSRS mobile Android results and iOS beta blog, which kind of details all the things we learned from the Android beta and outlines a bit of a time frame for you, when to expect invitations for iOS, when they'll be sent out, when it's open and when it closes, etc. So go and read that if you haven't already and you're sat here spamming and you haven't tried to find it yourself.
Right.
Crazy.
Can you give item sets that you have the items for in your inventory highlighted? So what this means is when you go to the Grand Exchange and you go to the sets thing, if you have the items for the set, you don't really know which one it is until you obviously go and find it. So it'd be nice if it was just pre-highlighted.
It's really kind of like obvious when you exchange it from a set into the items, isn't it? It just doesn't work the other way around.
Yeah. Well, I mean.
So this is when you're making the sets, and the set objects in the interface are fairly hard to identify, right? Yeah, seems reasonable to me. Not a really easy one, but.
Last one, I'm Mod West, actually, before you leave. Please change the Fremi Sea Boots 4 back to the original. We don't care about the graphics bug. Are you aware of that? Or is that a Mod Rai question, maybe?
Tall boots are just not. I would love to have tall boots, but it's just.
Tall boots aren't feasible at the moment.
Mod West would love them, but
He gave one of these as well.
We'd have to change all of our leg models, and that would take a long time.
Okay. We'd have to change every leg model in the game, and that would take too long. So sorry. Hopefully that helps. Anyways.
But actually on that point, to hijack it, sorry, because I know that we had a discussion earlier this week. We know that the inventory icon was like changed and that it didn't look the greatest that it could have. So I believe that we've put in a slight alteration to that, so it fits a little bit better when it's equipped and when it's also in your inventory, and the colour's been changed slightly. So
not on your character. Just
not on your character. It's just in the inventory. That is open. That if you're not happy with that, we can always look at making it so the inventory icon is how the boots used to be. It would be inconsistent, but if
it depends on what you're wearing as well. If you're wearing like maybe black D-hide chaps, it's not too bad. But if you're wearing something like an armoured chain skirt that might have something at the bottom, it's just going to clip and look. It looks bad.
It was more of a rendering order issue. It was like pretty much even things that like that. It looked clippy. It wasn't grand, sadly.
Right, last question I'm going to ask today. PvP says, can you make the Dragon Hunter crossbow work on the Revenant Dragon? This will encourage more players to kill it right now, as it takes too long to kill and deeper in the wilderness.
Sorry.
I have a feeling it already works.
I don't.
I could be wrong, but I think when Jed was sat near me and doing it, he either made it purposely not work or purposely work. I can't remember which one he did.
If it doesn't, then I'd have to find out why.
I think it's got the Param Dragonbane on it. I really do. Sorry, Mod Rai is typing to us.
Maybe it didn't work at first. Maybe it does now.
We'll look that might be it. I think that we fixed it to make it work or something.
If it doesn't already, we could poll it alongside the Rev Uniques that we're looking to poll. That would be quite fitting for that question list.
Fun. Okay, that concludes the Q&A, and the dog won't be there next week.
No.
So say goodbye.
Why?
There she goes.
Just bring her back in again.
She's so cute though.
Yep, she's going back home.
That wasn't.
Okay.
On that note.
that concludes the Q&A, guys. Well, thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you next week.